Did you know your father?
Not well. I knew the man who they said my father was.
But you were never sure?
Nah.
Did you have a conversation with that man?
Yeah.
Did you ask him, are you my father?
Yeah.
What did he tell you?
Well, I'm champ of the world. Of course, he'll say yes.
I'm talking about before then.
Never before then.
Never before then.
I just took it as they say he's my father and hey, dad.
And that was it?
Yeah.
Mike Tyson's father was and still is quite an unknown entity, as Mike never really spoke much about him. But it's interesting to learn about. Jimmy Kirkpatrick was somebody Mike Tyson initially thought was his real father. But there was another man, known as Purcell Tyson, described as a humble cab driver who was from Jamaica, who was his actual biological father. Now this video is the untold truth about Mike Tyson's father for a reason. The man Mike Tyson had known as his father was a pimp named Jimmy Kirkpatrick, as mentioned. But Jimmy, however, was not Mike's biological father. It's interesting to know why Purcell Tyson, his biological father, wasn't in his life nor was mentioned much by Mike Tyson himself. Michael Tyson never really had a proper relationship with both his parents, actually, for that matter, but especially his father, as he was out of the picture very early in his life. And I believe this is what shaped Mike Tyson and really made him who he is today, and we will delve more into this. Chapter 1. Purcell Tyson. Purcell Tyson, Mike Tyson's biological father, remains a largely enigmatic figure with relatively little detailed information publicly available about his life. Originally from Jamaica, Purcell Tyson was reportedly absent for most of Mike's life, having left the family when Mike was just a young child. This left Mike and his two siblings and their mother, Lorna Mae Smith, to struggle alone in Brooklyn's tough Brownsville neighborhood. In interviews, Mike has occasionally referenced to his father, though usually to underscore the distance and disconnect he felt due to his father's absence.
Studied. That's why I'm so feared. That's why they feared me when I was in the ring, because I was annihilated. That's all I was born.
As a result, Mike's early life was marked by instability and hardship, with no steady father figure, as you can imagine as you're watching right now. Until he met his legendary trainer, Cus D'Mato, one of the most famous and most celebrated boxing trainers in history. Cus D'Mato stepped into a paternal role for the young fighter, Mike Tyson. Purcell Tyson's legacy, then, is more about his absence than any direct influence on Mike, shaping an emotional void that arguably fueled Mike's later aggression, discipline issues, and ultimately his drive for approval. While some sources mention Jimmy Kirkpatrick, a man involved with Mike's mother after Purcell's departure, as a father figure in Mike's youth, this relationship was also unstable and inconsistent. The scarcity of concrete information about Purcell Tyson has fueled interest in the story, as the void left by his absence seems to have played a substantial role in shaping the legend of Mike Tyson. If you're still here, guys, make sure you like, follow, subscribe. Chapter 2. The Cus father figure. But his real father figure, or some may say his real father, was actually the legendary Cus D'Mato, as we mentioned, because he took him and guided him in when Mike had nobody and nothing. He even gave Mike, like, I remember when I was a kid, I used to watch interviews and stories about Mike Tyson, how Cus D'Mato just let him into his own home as if he was one of his own. Who would do that? It's an interesting, pondering thought as to why Mike Tyson never really mentioned both his parents much, for that matter, throughout his career and even during the present time. Perhaps this shows us he never really had a great relationship with either parent, and in my opinion, it shows that his parents were not really there for him throughout his upbringing, as they were dealing with demons of their own. Mike Tyson perhaps had a greater longing and need for a father figure, which is why he became so attached to Cus D'Mato. And given the information I've researched, as I say that both his parents were dealing with their demons of their own, his mother was reported to be addicted to drugs and addicted to many other substances, and obviously his father has a long-standing demons, a lot of things that he was facing in his life. So Can we really blame his parents? I guess this is a discussion I'll leave for you guys down below in the comments. What do you guys think? And within that same token, Cus D'Mato really needed Mike, as we do remember in an iconic interview where Cus said this.
He doesn't know what I mean, but I'm going to tell him now what I mean. If he weren't here, I probably wouldn't be alive today.
And from this point, a beautiful bond and father-to-son-like relationship was formed. Mike Tyson's father, Purcell Tyson, his biological father, is a lesser-known figure in Mike's life, as he had very little presence during Mike's upbringing. Purcell Tyson was originally from Jamaica and is believed to have been absent for much of Mike's early life. Mike has often described his relationship with his father as non-existent, as he abandoned the family when Mike was just a young child. Mike Tyson's mother, Lorna Mae Smith, was left to raise him and his siblings in the tough, crime-ridden neighborhood of Brooklyn. Mike would later express the impact of this absence on his upbringing, frequently attributing his early struggles, including involvement in crime and fighting, to growing up without a stable father figure. Tyson's complex relationship with his absent father, may have also contributed to his drive for approval and validation in boxing, a sport where the approval of mentors like Cus D'Mato filled the void left by his biological father. Mike Tyson's rise to the top of the boxing world was fueled by a complex cocktail of emotions, anger, desperation, and a deep for hunger and validation. But to understand the full scope of his drive, we must first look at the man who wasn't there, Mike's father, Purcell Tyson. Purcell, as we mentioned, a Jamaican native, was largely absent from Mike's life from the beginning. His departure left young Mike and his siblings in the care of their mother, Lorna Mae Smith, in the unforgiving streets of Brooklyn, Brownsville. Growing up fatherless in one of the roughest neighborhoods in New York had a profound effect on Mike. And as you who is watching right now this video, you can imagine how much of an effect and impact that would have had for anybody. But for Mike, that energy didn't remain bottled up as rage or self-destruction. It became fuel for a fierce ambition that would ultimately catapult him into the ring. What Purcell Tyson failed to provide in terms of structure and guidance, Mike sought that in others. And no one would play a more pivotal role in shaping Mike's future than his legendary trainer, as we mentioned, Cus D'Mato. A father figure, or a father I would say myself, that Mike never had. He recognized the raw power and deep-seated anger within the young fighter. But instead of quelling that energy, Cus harnessed it. Under his guidance, Mike learned how to channel his anger, his need for approval, and his feelings of abandonment into every punch, every movement in the ring. You could almost feel the void that he was trying to fill. D'Mato wasn't just a coach. He became the father figure Mike had been craving all his life. And in Cus's mentorship, Mike found the discipline and direction that Purcell never provided. Through D'Mato, Mike discovered an outlet for his unresolved emotions. The hours and thousands of hours of boxing tape, research, sparring, all the lessons, and not only the boxing lessons, but even the discipline, the life lessons that Cus D'Mato taught young Mike. Mike Tyson still remembers him and thanks him to this day. Every time Mike Tyson speaks on his old legendary coach, Cus D'Mato, the late Cus D'Mato, you can see a tear almost drip down his eyes. Boxing became not just a sport but a release, a way for Tyson to confront his inner demons, to fight against the invisible weight of a father who had abandoned him. The absence of Purcell may have scarred Mike, but in many ways, it also drove him. It pushed him to find guidance in others, to prove himself worthy of love and respect through sheer force and skill inside the ring. And perhaps in every punch Mike threw, there was a small piece of that anger aimed at the man who was never there to see him fight, win, or become one of the most feared boxers, and I will say fighters, in history. Chapter 3, Conclusion. In the end, the absence of Purcell Tyson shaped Mike's life as much as any punch he ever threw. His father's desertion left scars that never really fully healed. But it was at the same time, the same pain that drove him into greatness. Through boxing, Mike found a way to channel the rage and longing he carried for so many years, transforming vulnerability into power. And you could see in interviews before Mike Tyson's fights, the way he would stare down his opponents. I think a lot of it stemmed from this. And if you guys are still watching, I need you guys to like the video. Let's try to get 200 likes. No, let's get 200 likes on this video. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, guys. Comment down below where you're watching right now. And if you're still here watching, let me know by typing in the comments down below. I need you to comment Purcell Tyson down below, so I know that you made it this far. Finally, Cus D'Mato filled the void Purcell left, becoming the father figure so desperately needed and helping him to rise to unimaginable heights. Yet, even with all the success, the wounds of abandonment lingered, impacting every aspect of his life beyond the ring. Mike's story isn't just one of victories or losses, it's a story of survival against the odds, where he forged his own path despite the absence of the man who should have guided him. Ultimately, Mike Tyson's life is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the way our deepest wounds can sometimes drive us to extraordinary feats. As we embark on the journey to be the #1 boxing documentary YouTube channel in the world. And my goal for next year is 1 million YouTube subscribers, which we will achieve. And that's it from me, guys. This is Abdullah with the Gloves, aka AWDG, aka your uncle's favorite YouTube channel. If you guys made it this far, man, and you want to follow the journey, I'm gonna have my second boxing fight in December, inshallah. Shout out to all the regular commenters. I see you guys. Sean, Ismail, Ayman, Asif. Sorry if I forgot your name, man. Guys, I'm just getting ready to go to work right now, man. But thank you guys for watching. Shout out to everyone on Twitch. We stream on Twitch as well, man. And for some reason, guys, I need you to click on this video. For some reason, YouTube thinks you'll like this video down below. So click on it and let's see if YouTube is right. And as always, guys, don't forget to send this video to your uncle. But not your uncle here, only your uncle back home.
Being an exotic, my flow's hypnotic, sometimes melodic.